Bandipur Beckons Live. We have with us today John Rowell. John, from lab to wildlife photography, how did it happen?
Well, I guess it isn't really just a leap from lab to wildlife photography in a sense. You know, I'm into biology, biological sciences. I always have. That's actually how I ended up in the lab. But I think it's just, as a scientist, you naturally question things, and I'm in life sciences, so I naturally question how life works. So I don't just question like in the cells. I also look around and I wonder, why is that particular bird there, and oh, what is that bird in fact? So it's more of my natural affinity to both biological sciences and my morbid curiosity and having to know everything about what I'm interested in.
Right. And how did Bandipur happen?
Well, Bandipur was actually a bit of a... The first time I came to Bandipur was a bit of a last minute arrangement. In fact, the weekend before and a few days, well, about 10 days before I came to Bandipur, I was at a different tiger reserve in Nagaholi near Kabini.
Right.
And I was there with my wife. We had a great time. Anyway, later on, about the next week, my wife had some work to do near here, and she phones me up and she says, "I know, John, let's just stay here for the weekend. Come down." So the last minute, I just got in my car. I drove on down here, and we didn't even know where to. We hadn't booked anything, and we just kind of rocked up and found somewhere to stay, and then that was kind of it. It just kind of, like all surprises in life, it was just so fantastic. And
So you've come to Bandipur a couple of times.
I've come now a couple of times, yeah.
And from what you said, I gathered that you also roam around in other tiger reserves.
Yes.
But why do you come back to Bandipur?
Really, I don't. I've been to other reserves and I've had more prolific safaris. I've seen more tigers. I've seen more elephants. I've seen all that, but it's not really, I guess, the quantity of what I get to see in Bandipur. It's actually more the quality. I feel like when I see, one particular time when I saw a tiger when I was just leaving towards the end of a particular safari, and this tiger, we almost missed it, and it just kind of creeped across this little clearing, weaving between the trees, and it was there for a good 1 or 2 minutes, just walking very nonchalantly across this clearing.
Lovely.
And it just kind of, I don't know, engulfed me. The forest, I felt more connected to the forest here and the wildlife here and what I was actually seeing than I did in other reserves. And quite often I found other reserves a little bit too touristy. Like, you go to them and you will see a lot more jeeps, you will see a lot more, it seems a lot more crowded. This seems, I don't know, I felt more connected to the forest when I saw the wildlife than I do in a place. I can't really explain why.
Yeah, true. But so when you first decided that you're going to come to Bandipur, like you said, it was a last minute decision. But there must have been some image in your mind, some expectations from the place. And when you first came here, what was the first impression of the place to you?
Well, actually, as I said, just previously to that, I went to the other tiger reserve in Kabini, and that was a very, it's a lot wetter and it was a lot greener. And because this was last minute, I hadn't really had any time to really develop some notion or expectations.
Right.
In fact, you know, because it was last minute, I didn't have any expectations. But my first the first shock, I guess it was a bit of a shock. I was expecting almost the same kind of habitat.
Right.
Because it's not that far away from here.
Yeah.
So I was expecting a very similar design, and actually I find it's completely different.
Like?
I find, well, I don't know, I just find it's hillier.
Okay.
This is a very simple thing.
Yeah.
I think it's also got to do with maybe why I feel more connected here. I just find I don't know, it's just a slightly different atmosphere. The flora as well, I think, is different, and actually the general landscape, and it's obviously a lot drier here than it is in Kabini, because that manages to stay lusher for longer. But I don't know, I was expecting almost the same kind of thing, and it was actually very different. I've actually not been back to Kabini since I've been here, so that was my first ever safari in India, and then I came here straight after, and then I've not gone back there.
But you have come back to Bandipur.
I keep on coming back to Bandipur.
And what do you expect in the future?
What do I expect? Well, I hope that all the conservation efforts that are going on here and trying to maintain it continue and improve, and that I hope I hope it's all managed to maintain. What's going to happen in the future? Well, that's a big question for everybody, but I hope it will continue going the way it is, and I hope it gets better. And
cool. Well, thank you for your time, and
you're welcome.
I wish to see you more often in this part of the country. Like John, it is your time to feel connected to Bandipur. Keep watching Bandipur Beckons Live.